Listen to me, Mrs. Helmer. Either you have a very bad memory or you know very little of business. I shall be obliged to remind you of a few details.
What do you mean?
When your husband was ill, you came to me to borrow 250 pounds.
I didn't know anyone else to go to.
I promised to get you that amount.
And so you did.
I promised to get you that amount on certain conditions. Your mind was so taken up with your husband's illness, you were so anxious to get the money for your trip that you seem to have paid no attention to the conditions of our bargain. Therefore, I should not be remiss to remind you of them. I promised to get you that amount on security of a bond which I drew up.
Yes, and which I signed.
Good. But below your signature, there were a few lines constituting your father a surety for the money. Those lines your father should have signed.
Should? He did sign them.
I had left the date blank. That is to say, your father should himself have inserted the date on which he signed that paper. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I remember.
Then I gave you the bond to send by post to your father. Is that not so?
Yes.
And you naturally did so at once because 5 or 6 days afterwards, you brought me the bond with your father's signature. Then I gave you the money.
Well, haven't I been paying it off regularly?
Fairly so. But to come back to the matter at hand, that must have been a very trying time for you, Mrs. Helmer?
It was, indeed.
Your father was very ill, wasn't he?
He was very near his end.
And he died soon afterwards?
Yes.
Tell me, Mrs. Helmer, do you by any chance remember what day your father died? What day of the month, I mean?
Papa died on the 29th of September.
That's correct. I have ascertained for myself. And as that is so, there is a discrepancy which I cannot account for.
What discrepancy? I don't know.
The discrepancy is the fact, Mrs. Helmer, that your father died on the 29th of September. But look here, your father has dated his signature the 2nd of October. It's discrepancy, isn't it? Can you explain it to me? It's a remarkable thing, too, that the words 2nd of October, as well as the year, are not written in your father's handwriting, but in one that I think I know. Well, of course, this can be explained. Your father may have forgotten to date his signature, and someone else may have dated haphazard before they knew of his death. There's no harm in that. It all depends on the name of the signature. And that's genuine, I suppose, Mrs. Helmer? It was your father who signed his name here?
No, it was not. It was I who wrote Papa's name.
Are you aware that is a dangerous confession?
In what way? You shall have your money soon.
Let me ask you a question. Why didn't you send the paper to your father?
It was impossible. Papa was so ill, and if I had asked him for the money, I should have had to tell him what the money was to be used for, and when he was already so ill, I couldn't tell him that my husband's life was in danger. It was impossible.
You should have canceled your trip abroad.
That was impossible. The trip was to save my husband's life. I couldn't give that up.
But did it never occur to you that you were committing a fraud against me?
I couldn't account for that. I couldn't trouble myself with you at all. I couldn't bear you for all the heartless difficulties you put in my way, even though you knew the dangerous situation my husband was in.
Mrs. Helmer, you evidently do not clearly realize what you have been guilty of. I assure you that my one false step, although I lost all my reputation, is nothing more or nothing worse than what you have done.
Do you ask me to believe that you were brave enough to run a risk to save your wife's life?
The law cares nothing about motives.
Then it must be a very foolish law.
Foolish or not, it is the law that you will be judged by if I produce this paper in court.
I don't believe it. Is a daughter not to be allowed to save her dying father anxiety and care? Should a wife not be allowed to save her husband's life? I don't know much about the law, but I'm certain that there are laws protecting such things like that. Have you no knowledge of such laws? You who's supposed to be a lawyer? You must be a very poor lawyer, Mr. Krogstad.
Maybe. But business matters such as these, that you and I have together, don't you think I understand that? Very well, do as you please. But let me tell you this, if I lose my position a second time, you will lose yours with me.
Nonsense. Trying to frighten me like that. I'm not so silly as he thinks. And yet... no, it's impossible. I did it for love's sake.